Hello and welcome. On behalf of the Coverings 2022 show organizer team, we are welcoming you to our exhibitor session. In today's session, we will give an update on Coverings 2022, which will take place in Las Vegas, Nevada, April 5th through the 8th. The overview of the session is we will talk about the floor plan, show vendors, schedule and logistics, safety measures, registration, hotels and travel, promotional opportunities, and international freight. At the end of the presentation, if you are viewing this as a live GoToMeetings presentation, we will have Coverings 2022 representatives available for questions from meeting participants. All live attendees will be in listen mode only. You can submit text questions to the presentation by typing your questions in the question section on the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time in English for this presentation. We will share them with the moderator during the Q&A at the end, getting as many answered as time allows. Next slide. Coverings 2022 will take place in the Las Vegas Convention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. The exhibits will be in two contiguous exhibit halls, which are across from each other, the Central Hall and the North Hall. The Italian Pavilion will be in the Central Hall in the Hall C3 section. Next slide. Taffy Event Strategies will be the covering show management company, and Freeman will again serve as the official general service contractor and will also provide electrical and utility services. The exhibitor service manual is available on coverings.com website and has contact information and special details related to all the Coverings 2022 official vendors. Next slide. The exhibits will be open to attendees Tuesday through Friday from 10 to 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, April 5th through Thursday, April 7th, and from 10 to 3 p.m. on Friday, April 8th. For the move-in, while planning your exhibit, please take these following considerations into your planning. Access to the exhibit halls for stand building begins on March 29th at 8 a.m. Crates must be cleared from the aisles by 2 p.m. on Monday, April 4th. Notify Freeman of the number of containers you are shipping and who you are using as your freight forward in advance of arrival. The target floor plan will be available in January, and Freeman will work with you individually to determine any target date change requests that you may have. Next slide. When the show breaks at 3 p.m. on Friday, April 8th, Freeman will remove the aisle carpet and begin empty crate return process. This process can take 12 to 15 hours. All exhibit material should be packed and ready for shipping from the exhibit hall by April 11th at 9 a.m. Please have your carriers checked in by 8 a.m. on April 11th. In Las Vegas, the labor union jurisdictions allow specialty installers to install and dismantle all areas of the exhibit, mix grout, use pallet jacks to move items within and around their booths. Specialty installers performing any exhibit building beyond tile and stone shall work at a ratio of 1 union worker to every 5, a 1-to-5 ratio. For specialty installers. Local exhibitor appointed contractors may be hired to perform work. Exhibitors may not hire day laborers to perform work in their exhibits. Some additional considerations when you're planning your exhibit include reducing the amount that you ship, unload, and don't use as it blocks the aisles. Provide advance notification if the stand is being demolished before you arrive on site to reduce your empty return time. There is a form in the exhibitor kit for this notification. There are no fees for coverings 2022 for booth demolition. Maximum booth height for island booths is 20 feet. Hanging signs and trusses are permitted, and the material handling rate is $10.50 per square foot, and the cleaning rate is $1.95 per square foot. We are still aware and following safety measures for all the shows that we produce, and show management will work directly with the Las Vegas Convention Center and our official vendors to implement safety measures, which may continue to evolve based on guidance that is issued by the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and the state, federal, and local governments. The Convention Center has obtained its GBAC Star accreditation, and details about this accreditation can be found on the Convention Center website. There will be first aid stations available on site, and hand sanitizer dispensers will be placed throughout the Convention Center. Social distancing will be encouraged, and currently the Las Vegas, Nevada has a mask mandate for indoor events. Masks will be required in adherence to the federal, state, and local regulations and guidance. We will keep this information updated as it may change as we get closer to the event. Some additional booth designs to keep in mind include establishing clear points of entry and exit to your booth for easy traffic flow. Keep areas open for social distancing accommodation, and keep your space clean. Regularly disinfect frequently touched surfaces in your booth, and have hand sanitizer readily available if possible. Registration and hotel reservation systems are now open at coverings.com, and you can make your arrangements there. Exhibitors are prohibited from registering customers as exhibit booth personnel, and attendees will not be allowed to register as exhibitors in any circumstance. U.S. travel status is, as of November 8th, the U.S. is allowing international travelers to travel in and out of the United States. There are guidelines on the travel.state.gov website, and you should keep abreast of those as they have instructions of that require vaccination and testing in certain cases upon entry and exit of the country. Also, your airline that you use to get over to the United States will also be providing you guidelines of what you would need to do for planning and what documents you may need to provide. Okay. Learn about the sponsorship opportunities at coverings.com, or contact Tim Fearney, who is your sales representative, to sign up for a sponsorship. You can showcase your products for installation and/or design excellence in the CID Awards. Submit your projects by December 17th, 2001 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also invite your customers and prospects with our free and robust exhibitor invitation system. All these programs are described, and information is available through the exhibitor service kit at coverings.com. You can participate in the free new product showcase gallery by listing your newest innovations. And just a reminder, on February 23rd, it's National Tile Day, so don't forget to celebrate. At this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Phil Hobson with Phoenix International, and he is going to give an overview of international freight forwarding.
Thank you, Jen. Guys, as you've all been watching the news, I'm sure everybody's interested in hearing about these delays that we're having all over the country now. But things are getting done. Phoenix is the official forwarder for over 100 shows in the United States, of which we've had probably 30 in the last 6 months. Shipments are getting through. There are no customs issues. Containers are getting through. Everybody just has to think about this much earlier than they normally would. In this case, if you're shipping directly into Long Beach, you're probably going to need 30 days for the containers to become available after sitting at anchor for 15 to 18 days. I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of this with your general cargo shipments. Most of the exhibitors are shipping to the U.S. on a daily basis. So follow what the carriers are telling you, the ocean carriers, because they have the best information on how long those vessels are sitting at anchor. I traveled out to LA in September and met with Pier A and 2 other piers, as well as customs and a lot of the trucking companies. And everybody's prepared for this. They know it's coming. You know, we have several issues going on. Not in addition to congestion, we've got chassis issues, but things are slowly getting better. We're hoping by February and March we see a vast improvement. I think the last I heard there were 70 or 80 vessels that's down at anchor. That's down from 100. And you'll hear a lot of different information on the news, so don't believe everything you hear. Not all of it's bad. And as I said, it's getting better all the time. So we're looking at containers in Long Beach, probably mid-February to be released by mid-March. If a few are later than that, that's fine. It's the big groups that I'm concerned with more than the smaller groups. The one-off containers are a little easier to handle than containers, you know, 25 to 30 containers. So those of you, the larger groups, just start thinking about this this earlier. And talk to your freight forwarder. I've included Roberto Aquilini and General Noli. He is our agent there, and he is very well informed on this subject, so feel free to contact him directly. That's about it, if anybody has any questions.
All right. So next slide. Thank you very much. We look forward to successful Coverings 2022 in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Convention Center, April 5th through the 8th. If you're participating in the live webinar session, our panel is available now to answer your questions. You can submit your questions in English into the questions section of the control panel. Now let me introduce our panel, which many of you may know. I'm Jennifer Hoff, the president of Taffy Event Strategies, and we are looking forward to a great Coverings. A lot of shows are staging in the United States, and people are ready to get back to face-to-face business, and a lot of business is getting done. We also have Luciano Galassini and Christina Fayati joining us from Confindustria Ceramica. Gary Stauffer, Claudia Gerard, Bill Lithner, and Lee Fessenden are the main Freeman points of contact. And Phil Hobson is the president of Phoenix Logistics, who you just heard from, who is our official international freight forwarder. So, going to just give it a minute or two for some questions to pop up, and then I will help direct them. You can also always contact us through the exhibitor service manual and get questions answered after the fact.
Jen, maybe I take this opportunity to say hello in Italian to our members and to all the Italians who are, let's say, connected. Buongiorno a tutti, un saluto a tutti e grazie per aver partecipato a questo webinar. Credo che Jennifer Robb abbia fornito attraverso la sua presentazione direi tutte le informazioni più importanti che rispondano, credo, anche a molte delle domande che quesiti, ecco, che magari vorrete porre. In ogni caso siamo qui per rispondere alle vostre domande. posso aggiungere alcune parole. Naturalmente a Las Vegas siamo già stati diverse volte per diverse edizioni di coverings negli ultimi anni, quindi la sede non è nuova. Nella presentazione direi sono stati forniti alcuni dati importanti, quelli che riguardano anche le regole per l'allestimento degli stand in fiera. A differenza di Orlando, diciamo, si deve rispettare questo rapporto, ecco, da 1 a 5, cioè un laborer locale per ogni 5, diciamo così, persone dell'azienda, diciamo, dell'allestitore, ecco, che allestisce lo stand. Naturalmente questa è una misura, direi, ecco, non diciamo friendly come Orlando, però assolutamente, diciamo, sostenibile, a differenza magari di Chicago, e quindi non dovrebbe rappresentare, diciamo, un grande problema. Una maggiore attenzione quest'anno in particolare andrà posta al tema, diciamo così, dei trasporti, delle spedizioni. Ecco, su questo sarà senz'altro opportuno eventualmente, ecco, porre ulteriori quesiti a Phil Hobson, che nella sua presentazione ha già anticipato, diciamo così, la situazione abbastanza critica ai porti americani, ma credo che su questo ritorneremo con le domande che arriveranno anche da voi. Ecco. Poi non so se Cristina magari vuole dire alcune parole per quanto riguarda il padiglione italiano e gli spazi che sono in fase di, diciamo così, di completamento. Non so Cristina se vuoi aggiungere tu, poi lasciamo la parola agli espositori.
Sì, brevemente, perché come diceva Luciano, siamo a disposizione degli associati, ma ci sentiamo regolarmente ormai tutti i giorni, anche telefonicamente, anzi se avete bisogno vi invito a contattarci anche con Carolina che non si vede ma è connessa, perché abbiamo sostanzialmente finalizzato il padiglione italiano, quindi abbiamo le battute finali. Se può essere insomma di conforto a tutti quelli che sono collegati, siamo tornati a una situazione pre-pandemica a livello di adesioni, quindi abbiamo un padiglione pieno e abbiamo tenuto conto delle richieste che ci sono state fatte su un padiglione non particolarmente semplice, anzi direi complicato, con qualche ostacolo, ma ci pare di aver fatto un buon lavoro. La collocazione del padiglione è molto buona perché è centrale all'interno proprio della Central Hall, quindi insomma una buona posizione. E prima Jen ha fatto vedere la mappa, quindi più o meno l'idea insomma è stata poi anche condivisa quando vi sono stati presentati gli spazi. In merito, ecco, posso aggiungere che in merito anche a quello che ha detto Jen prima, valgono poi sempre per le aziende associate i servizi, diciamo, che garantiscono i costi assolti, diciamo, in maniera virtuale per gli associati di Confindustria Ceramica. Direi, Luciano, per la pulizia durante la fiera e il drayage e
per la demolition.
E la demolition.
Alla fine della fiera, sì.
Che non viene addebitata, questo per chiarezza.
Oltre al minor costo, diciamo, della superficie
certo,
al metro quadro. Sì.
Certo. E quindi insomma vengono garantiti come per gli anni passati. Al momento non mi viene in mente altro, quindi il manuale è stato detto è uscito, quindi tutti sono abilitati a scaricarlo e a brevissimo chiudiamo il padiglione, quindi manderemo a Taffi il floor plan e sarà loro cura farvi avere il contratto ufficiale e il numero di stand, visto che so che alcuni lo hanno chiesto, quindi insomma, siamo nella fase finale di questa procedura che poi verrà ufficializzata dagli organizzatori Taffi Events.
Bene, for the benefits of our US panelists, Cristina just said that we are finalizing the Italian pavilion, the Ceramics of Italy pavilion, with the, let's say, last few space assignments that will take place, let's say, this week. As of today, we are over 70,000 net square feet occupied in our hall, which brings us, let's say, more or less, let's say, to where we were a little less, let's say, than we were in Orlando 2019. Considering, let's say, you know, the pandemic and also the location, Vegas, we think that this is certainly a good, I would say, accomplishment, and which tells a lot about, let's say, the excitement, let's say, of our members, of the Italian companies, which wish to go back to the States and meet again their customers. So there is, let's say, optimism, and we hope that things will go well.
Great.
So,
we did. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, just wanted to say, of course, now we wait for some questions.
Yep. We do have a few.
Good.
First off, can we explain in detail in which way we will have to work with laborers to set up the booth? And there's a second related question for labor availability, specifically around the electricians, and want to confirm that there will be enough laborers, especially electricians, from the union in order to accommodate the show. The unions or Freeman will be organized for this, ? So I'm going to let Gary from Freeman take that question.
That sounds multiple points there. So the first one regarding, I think, the labor ratio, the 5-to-1. So in detail, for every 5 people you have working in a booth, so every 5 per 1 booth, then you have to hire 1 union person. So if you have 4 people working in a booth, then you don't have to have a labor person. So once you go over the number of 5, you have to hire 1 for every 5 per booth. The second part of that was electrical, which is the electricians union. There are no labor shortages when it comes to electricians in Vegas that we know of at this point. And then more and more people are coming back to work as time goes. Before we do coverings, CES will have taken place in Las Vegas and several other large shows. So the union is coming back full force. So I don't think that's going to be an issue at all when it comes to providing labor for this show. What was the other part, Jen? I think there was.
Oh, just to ensure that there are enough laborers, and how it works with how they can work with the laborers in the booth. And you may just want to touch on that they are allowed to do tile and stone work.
Yeah, no, they can do all the work themselves as long as they stay under a group of 5. So once they go over 5, then they're going to have to, hire additional labor. It's the same exact program that we did in 2014, if anybody remembers. Hopefully have enough people on that remember what we did in 14 and can help explain it if we need to going forward.
Okay. And Gary is correct. There are already a lot of shows staging in Vegas at this time. They just had the hardware show, and World of Concrete is getting ready to gear up for January, and heating and air conditioning. So there'll be a lot of activity before us, and it's coming online again. I've been to several shows there, and full building, everybody's up and running, and the shows are very vibrant and people are excited to be there for sure. Another question, this is for Phil. What is the suggested date for shipping the material for the booth?
Sorry guys about the visual. I accidentally dialed in as or logged in as an attendee, not a participant. So that's why you can't see me. But arrival dates, if you're coming into Long Beach, we're wanting you to get in around between February 10th and let's say 20th. Keep in mind, at that time, and as we get closer, you may want to reevaluate that. But at this time, the vessels are at anchor between 15 and 18 days, and it takes another 5 to 7 days before the container is made available to us. And then we have the challenge of making sure there's a chassis available, which could take a 2 to 5 days. So if you add all that up, and we have to have your containers in Vegas by, let's say, the 20th, or between the 20th and the 26th, we're looking at an export date given a 35 to 40 day transit time around, you're probably going to want to load around January, beginning of January, which I know is a horrible time. But again, as we get closer, talk to our agent or your agent and see what the carriers are offering as far as transit time goes.
Okay.
This means, Phil, that your suggestion or your recommendation would be, let's say, to ship by, let's say, the first decade of January, correct?
Correct. You've got two services out there, and I'm not sure which carriers are offering this services from Italy, but you have an all-water service with a transit time that could be as long as 40, 45 days. And then you have a mini land bridge service, which comes into the East Coast and is railed over to Long Beach, which that transit time is substantially less. So you have to look at the options that the carriers are offering and find out what is going to fit your schedule the best.
Okay, so you're saying that, let's say, another option is to ship to the East Coast ports, and then from there, let's say, by rail or by trucks, by land, in any case, from the East Coast to Nevada.
Yeah, a truck is not really a viable option due to the transit time, the mileage, the cost. But
Yeah.
some of the carriers do have a service through, I believe it's New York, it might be Savannah, through New York and then railing to the West Coast. But you have to keep in mind what time of the year it is as well. You've got weather issues that could delay that. So it's a tough balancing act, but the ocean carriers are going to have the best idea in regards to what transit time and what dwell times in Long Beach are going to be like as we get closer. But you need to start contacting them now through your freight forwarder.
Okay, maybe I have one more question for you. Are there any warehouse facilities around the convention center, or in any case, let's say in Vegas, where, let's say, companies, exhibitors could ship, let's say, their materials ahead of time?
That is another issue we're having due to the congestion at the ports. A lot of companies have done basically the same thing: ship early, warehouse, and then deliver later. The issue with that is we're running out of warehouse space, not only in Long Beach and in Las Vegas, but throughout the United States. I think I read the other day we're at 99% capacity with our warehouses in the United States, and we're building them as fast as we can build them. So the short answer to that is, if you can find a warehouse that can offer that service, yes. I only know of one or two that have maybe 4 or 5 containers worth of space available in their warehouse, and I'm sure that's going to be taken up, if not already, pretty quickly. So it is an option. It's a tough, difficult option because you're going to have to find the warehouse. And what I know right now in LA and in Vegas is warehouse space is very tight.
Right, and we do have through field service, they will be staging the containers out on the property at the convention center in advance of the move-in. So we do have that as an option.
Okay.
Okay, so that is all the questions. Wait, I think we have one more. Okay. If we have a booth, a couple of people from the company managing the work of the stand builder, as well as something like 8 people from the stand building, how many workers from the union will we have to ask for? So it sounds like there would be 2 people from the company supervising and workers. So go ahead, Gary. You're on mute.
Sorry. The 2 company people that work directly for the company don't count because they're actually employees of the exhibiting company. It's the stand, it's like the specialty stand builders, like the people that actually build the booth and install the tile. So how many was the count? Was it 6?
8 people from the stand building company. So that would be 8 people.
Yeah, they would need to hire 1 because it's a 5-to-1 ratio. So for every
So
5,
if they had, right. If they had 10,
Yeah.
it would be 2.
it'd be 2. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I say it in Italian. Il rapporto quindi dall'1 a 5 riguarda il personale, diciamo così, degli allestitori, quindi delle imprese di allestimento. Non si contano quindi il personale dell'azienda espositrice, escluso, e naturalmente questo calcolo riguarda ciascuno stand, ecco. Quindi non imprese di allestimento, diciamo, ma ciascuno stand. Ecco, quindi se diciamo ci sono 5 persone dell'allestitore in uno stand, ecco, fino a 5 non è necessario assumere, diciamo, un laborer. Ecco, quindi diciamo, vuol dire fino a 4 per capirci, ecco, per stand.
Okay, thank you, Luciano. And another question, in which pier do you suggest we send our materials? And then a related, if understood, there is no warehouse, where do we send our materials during the move? Where do we stock the materials during the move-in? So Bill, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Which pier do you suggest? And
Well,
go ahead.
all the piers are congested right now. And you're not going to have a choice of all of them. There's 14 piers. They all have specific uses. Some from containers from the Far East, some from Europe, some from South America. So you're not going to have a lot of options, and they're all congested. So it's not going to matter which pier. If you're talking about 1 container, it's not as much of an issue if you're talking about 30 containers. I am presently working on an arrangement with Pier A, which should serve, which will serve Zim lines, which will give me the ability to something called a pick and peel, where I have the ability to just pull containers at a faster rate than the general freight forwarders could. And that's for ocean freight shipments. So if you're talking about air freight shipments, it's not as much of an issue because the air freight shipments we will bring in and we'll put in a warehouse that we have reserved for those air freight shipments. But with sea freight, we would pull it from the port, hold it, and then deliver it on the targeted move-in date. So it would need to stay in the container the entire time. So you're going to have, and keep in mind, you're going to have chassis fee, per diem, and storage fees associated with that container, which you should be used to. It's just going to be a longer period of time, so the expense will be a little higher.
Okay. Okay. Another question, if I've understood well, electrical workers are different from installers and builders, correct? We have, yes, that is correct. We have to order laborers on the base of numbers of installers and laborers, electricians in different counts. So when they order the electricians, the electricians are handling the electrical work. Gary, can you confirm that?
Yes, it's separate work. It's separate union jurisdictions, and then electrical, yes, is the electricians union, which is not counted as a ratio. It's not part of that equation. We're only talking to actual booth construction and tile installation when it comes to the ratio.
Okay.
And then Jen, I wanted to explain real quick. If everybody remembers from 2014, each outlet comes with an hour of labor built into the outlet. So that's part of the cost, is to get the outlet installed and then dismantled at the end of the show. So that's built into the cost of each outlet. So the labor's already kind of worked into the equation, if that makes sense.
Okay. And the 1-to-5 ratio is valid also for tile installers?
It's
So
it's all booth work. Yeah.
All work, all booth.
All booth work.
And then another question, do we have to specify at the beginning of the expo which job the worker from the unions will do? Or can we decide with him or her during the build-up? Do we have
Yes,
to specify at the beginning of the expo which job the worker from the union will do? Oh, it's just repeated. Or can it?
Nope. Yeah, no, they do not.
Okay, I'm just going to give another few seconds if somebody has another question. It sounds like somebody's already starting to install their booth with the noise in the background. Okay. But one more question. Oh,
no, please.
Which date do you suggest as the limit for materials to depart from Italy? Phil?
Well, again, that's a tough question because it depends on what carrier you use and what service you use. So that's why these discussions early are so important, is to determine what those times are going to be. So get together with Roberto, your freight forwarder, and discuss which carriers you're going to use, which transit times they have, and then work backwards from there as to when you'll need to be ready for loading.
So contact your carrier and work with them directly on that. Again, the service manual is up on coverings.com, and we are all available through our customer service for helping you in any way that we can. And again, we're looking forward to a great show. Luciano, did you have something else you wanted to say?
No, just one question. You already set the date for work to start in the Italian pavilion, correct?
Yes.
I think that this is a date that is always, let's say, requested to us from our exhibitors. Maybe you can repeat it when they can start, let's say, work on their booths at the show.
Yes, it's, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think what they're always asking, Luciano, is we always have to get what we kind of refer to as the container day to unload all the containers, which would be on Monday. I think that's the 28th. So, we'll be working that day just to unload everything. They can start working on Tuesday, the 29th.
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning, yes. So that gives them, 8 from Tuesday to Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah.
Show opens on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and when we were in July, if anybody participated in the July event, that was a shorter time span. So we've gone back to the quote normal regular rotation for move in and move out time.
So this should give them enough time, let's say, to install the booths. So this should not be, let's say, a matter of concern. As I understand it, the issue of most concern is clearly the, let's say, the shipping, let's say, the materials to the US. And certainly the recommendation is to plan, let's say, in early shipments, hopefully, ideally, as early as early January. And this gives to all the exhibitors not so much time, let's say, to design and prepare, let's say, their booths in time for shipping. I know that they will have to run.
Yeah. And a couple more questions just came in. They're short, but what is the last day materials should be available at the warehouse in the convention center? So Phil, I think that's what's the when should they?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that question.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, there's another, if the person wants to clarify in the questions what they're asking, but the material needs to be there in time to move in for your targeted move-in date. Is that the answer?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of this group would be, we'll try to unload this group on the 28th, maybe some, on that day. So it would need to be in probably the week before.
26th.
Yeah.
And then this is related to the moving in and the targeting, but March 29th is the starting date. But as has happened in the past year, it is possible the target move-in would be anticipated on request of exhibitors. And you would just need to contact Freeman directly through the contact in the exhibitor service manual to inquire about those arrangements.
Correct. Yeah, we always work to unload as much of the Italian and Spanish pavilions as humanly possible on the day before they start working.
Yeah. And then
in the event that we can't unload it all, we try to get the appropriate first needed materials to them so that they can begin their floor installation or their initial work and then follow up with the balance the following day or at a later date.
Yeah. And then somebody wants to just triple confirm the 28th is not an installation day.
Correct. That's a move-in day. Move-in only.
And it's my birthday. Dismantle phase, can we leave the booth as it is and it will be trashed, or do we have to dismantle it and then can be trashed? You can leave the booth as it is. We do ask that if you have open containers or any containers of paint, that you put them out in plain sight so we can take care of them. But other than that, we will have the demolition process begin after all the freight is out.
Yeah, the only charge really for leaving a booth completely standing could be for some electrical materials, for some cables and plugs and things that we use. That would be a double charge on the materials for electrical only. If you just walk away from your booth, and if we cannot get to those cables and cords, if we can get to them, it's fine. If we can't, then it'll be a charge.
Okay. And then this is, I think, is the last question. What the free time is Freeman Warehouse and rate to deliver to the Advanced Warehouse?
So we cannot accept container shipments at the warehouse. We don't have the ability or the space or the room to accept container shipments. We start 30 days in advance receiving them, and the rate is $20 per 100 pounds to receive at the warehouse. But again, we can't have containers show up at the warehouse and unload them because we don't have that kind of space to store that type of materials. Now, if it comes in and then comes on a regular truck or a flatbed or something of that nature other than a container, then we could receive it.
And with the qualifying that it's nothing over 4,000 pounds can come to the
Yeah,
warehouse.
that's true. Yeah, nothing over 4,000 pounds can be shipped. No single piece can be more than 4,000 pounds.
Okay. Okay. Any
I have
parting
one-
words from Luciano?
Yeah, one more question.
Okay.
Regarding setup, unlike previous editions of our show, talking about 2019, 18, etc., previous editions, we did not create in our pavilion any additional large aisle as we did, let's say, in those editions, okay? Which had the benefit also of easing, let's say the setup, because if you have, let's say, larger aisles, then you have more space, you know, to put the crates, etc. This time, in order to optimize, let's say, the space, we did not create any additional one. So we just have, let's say, the vertical and the horizontal main aisle. Will this, let's say, create more problems as, let's say, most aisles are, let's say, are narrow? That is one question. The other question is the aisle on the left, meaning the aisle separating C1 from C2. Is it, let's say, a regular aisle of 10 feet or larger?
There's a stairwell of 5 or 6 steps that go up,
Yeah,
and then a ramp. So it is a little, where that staircase is, it's probably 20 feet wide. But it's not where we would store crates
yeah,
and things
of
like that.
course.
And it's very seamless when you're walking through the exhibits. You just go straight through from C1 to C2
Yeah.
to C3 to C4. It's very seamless.
Yeah, but from the end of the booth to the staircase, how many feet do we have?
Oh, I think just a normal aisle, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 feet.
Yeah.
Just a normal aisle, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Okay. One more question just came through at the last minute. Where will we stock up our materials arrived in Vegas during the build-up phase? Is there a warehouse near the Italian pavilion? In the convention center, there's no warehouse, but we stage the crates in the aisles.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any parting words from Luciano or Christina?
No, I do not have anything more to ask. I would just say, let's say in Italian, recommendation. La raccomandazione naturalmente che facciamo è quella di programmare bene le spedizioni e, come abbiamo sentito, senz'altro raccomandabile prevedere, diciamo, una spedizione nella prima metà di gennaio, ecco, per avere la certezza di non incorrere poi in ritardi nello scarico, sdoganamento e trasporto dei materiali al convention center, ecco. Quindi questa direi che è la raccomandazione più importante. Per il resto, naturalmente gli uffici dell'associazione sono a disposizione per tutta l'assistenza e certamente sarete così anche contattati da noi nei prossimi giorni. La maggior parte delle aziende sono già state contattate, ma lo sarete per gli spazi, appunto, come diceva poc'anzi Cristina Faedi. Naturalmente se ci sono altre domande, ecco, cogliete questa opportunità, visto che abbiamo tutti gli interlocutori che gestiscono, ecco, i vari servizi in fiera, quindi un'occasione importante, però tutti loro come noi comunque saranno a disposizione, ecco, anche nei giorni, nelle settimane, diciamo, a seguire per assicurare la migliore possibile, diciamo, partecipazione alla fiera.
Okay. Good. And did someone have anything else? Anybody else from the panel?
Hey, Jen, you know, on the original floor plan, we did have a couple bigger aisles. There's a big aisle right down the middle, and there is a bigger one right through the middle, running vertically and horizontally.
There's just no additional one. We'll look at that.
Okay, all right.
And the under the wire last question, hanging truss is permitted from the ceiling. Arrangements need to be made as through the exhibitor service manual. And if you need to rent them, you can inquire there as well.
So real quick on that, if we're going to talk hanging signs and truss, I know this always becomes an issue in Vegas. We have to install those with scissors lifts or man's lifts, you know, like a lift, and it's very difficult to maneuver the lifts down the aisles to be able to hang signs and truss. So if you ship it with your container, it will be very difficult to hang. You're much better off to rent truss locally, either rent it from Freeman or another, you know, somebody else if you have contacts, another person, and have it shipped in advance. But the best, easiest way to do it is to rent it from us so we can have the truss up and ready to go before you even start. That way you're not trying to get it out of a container and then try to get a lift to your booth to install it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, with that said, this concludes our question and answers and presentation. And again, we are available to help you through the process to get to the show. And we really look forward to a great Coverings 2022 in Las Vegas, Nevada, April 5th through the 8th. And we are looking for a really great crowd and a lot of business to be done. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao a tutti. Bye bye. Bye bye to you all.